type of servers. Okay, and as well as what is DHCP server, what is DNS server will do, difference between DHCP and DNS. That is also we discuss. So what's the difference? It's like your system or your mobile phone or your TV required an IP address to connect to the network and communicating in the network. It need an IP address. IP address can be configured manually, also automatically. So automatic configuration means you'll get an IP address from DHCP server. From DHCP server, you will get an IP address. Okay. In our home, what is our DHCP server? Our Wi-Fi router is act like a DHCP server. Directly from Wi-Fi router, we are getting an IP address. If you are connect any device with your mobile phone hotspot, that hotspot contains like a DHCP feature. So that is again will provide an IP address. Like that, different applications like VMware. VMware also provide DHCP services to its VMware virtual machines. VMware workstation, virtual machines, it will provide an IP address. You can also use a Windows server or a Linux server as a DHCP server. Okay, so DHCP server means an IP address will assign to your device. So your system IP address from DHCP server to communicate in the network. But to communicate to the devices, we need other device IP address. So we are mostly communicating through our web related or any communication using names we are using, not their IP address, right? Google.com, Facebook.com, YouTube.com. If we don't know their IP address and we are using that names to communicate. So we want YouTube.com IP address, Facebook.com IP address, Google.com IP address. What you do? So our system will send a request to the DNS server. From DNS server, we are getting IP address of that YouTube.com, Facebook.com, okay, Google.com's IP address. Our system got it. And system use that IP address to communicate. Like destination IP, you don't know directly. So you will ask DNS server to get the IP address of your destination system. So that is a difference. Okay, so small difference, but it is important differences. Yeah, we'll come to our part. That is, guys, also we discussed about an Active Directory. Okay, what is an Active Directory? What services it is provided? And before Active Directory, few things we have to discuss. What is the importance of this Active Directory services? So for that one, we are going to discuss first. Okay. Think like you have a computer. You have a computer or a laptop. It is your personal computer, laptop, right? So it is a individual workstation or a system laptop. So it is comes under workgroup system, workgroup. Okay. So what it is, like you have your laptop or you have a desktop. It's a personal computer. So you are login to your system. So for login, so there is a login accounts are there. So that's we call it as user accounts. That's what we are calling it as user accounts. With that user account and you given a password, then you log in, right? These user accounts also, administrative account is there, standard user account also there. Administrator account, so you log in as a admin account. You can do all the kind of works, like you can change the settings, you can install applications, okay? You can do any configurations inside, okay? If you are login as an admin account. So you log in as an admin account. Then you do all the performance like installation, configuration by default. the account, what is the first account you are created after installation of OS, what are the account you are logging, by default you are a administrator. You want to check that one, so once again. On my system also you can try. There's a little difference is there. So accounts, okay, you can see administrator, but not like this. It shows here local account in your system. In my system, it's different. Okay, administrator, you're an administrator. Okay. I have a Windows system, right? We'll start. So it maybe take time. Okay. So like that, you can see your account. So go to settings, accounts, see your account name, your login user name, and under that one it will shows local account. Under that one it shows administrator. So you are a administrator. In case if another person want to access yours, like your brother, sister, or someone in your home want to access your system, but you don't want to give all the permissions to access, or you don't want to make your personal data, means your desktop data, maybe your downloads, documents, pictures, that is you don't want to them to access, or you don't want them to change any settings in your system. So what to do? Okay, see these downloads, desktop, this is your profile data, documents, pictures, music, videos, these are all your personal data, users data. Okay, and you don't want them to change any kind of settings in your system. What you do, add one more account. Okay, so of course in this system I think I can add 1 second. Okay, so if you want to add another account, you can add one more account. So when you are adding another account, it's automatically a standard account. So you created a standard account user. So then other person, other user login as this standard account user. So you login as admin account. So once you log out, other users can log in with a standard account user. So whenever the standard account user login, so you cannot able to install uninstallation of application, changing of settings, viewing others users profile data like their documents, pictures, they can't able to see. And also you can give certain restrictions to access certain resources also in the system. Okay, that is standard use type. But where is these two accounts are located? Inside your system only. So whenever you log in or any other person log in, so your system is authenticate that user. It verifies your user account and password and will let you to log in. So it is authentication and authorization by your system only. It's an individual system. So the accounts are local accounts. The accounts are called local accounts. Okay. So this is simple, one single. Our system like it. See, this is not a domain connected. So this virtual machine. It is slow system, of course. Yeah. So this student C1 I created here, that is a local account. Okay, admin account and as well as local account and the password. So when I given a password, enter, who is going to authenticate that user and password is our system only. This system only it is authenticating, not my physical machine, this machine only. Okay, this is the system. Individual system contains account, as a local account and access. So it is becomes slower. Entire system becomes slower. What? Okay. Local account set. For example, here it is. So there is a name Anusha is. For example, it is Anusha system. Okay. So Anusha log into this system with Anusha name and password, and who is going to authenticate? This system only. Okay. Simple. I installed an application here called VM Backup. That's why it is very slow. Settings. This is Windows 10 system. Okay, in Windows 10 accounts, like you can go to settings, find out where is this accounts in the settings. Here, account section is here. In the accounts, you can find your user account and see the data. Okay, see it is user C1 local account accounts. Very slowly respond. It is a local account administrator. Okay. You want to add one more, then go to the family and others. Okay. You can add someone else to this PC. Okay. So if you click it, it asks for the Microsoft account. So you can cancel that Microsoft kind of stuff. You can create another local account in it. Okay. Because internet is connected, so definitely it asks for the Microsoft login. So, okay. Try not to give any Microsoft accounts in your system, guys. In case you are giving, so make sure that is valid account. So it means frequently you are accessing that account only. Some people in starting, so they put as some email account. Okay, some people not even a Microsoft, they put a Gmail account, newly created. They didn't log in again. Okay, so if you don't log in to your Gmail account or any email account, first time you are created, but next time you didn't log in, okay, it's become invalid. So it's very difficult to crack that one also. That too, if it is passes more days, like 6 months, it's become invalid. So I don't have this person signing information. It asks for the creating a Microsoft account. Again, you have to cancel. I want to use personal account. Add user without a Microsoft account. I'm not creating anything, just to show that one. So give the username. If second user need a password, then give the password also. Once click on next and user is created and added. I'm not doing anything, just not doing anything. Okay. So that is, it will become a standard account. Different ways you can add it, but we'll see. So what is meant by authentication? Verification of user identity or credentials, like verification of username and password. Both are correct as per the internal system. Okay, just authorized, authenticate that system user. What is authorization? Authorization means allow user to access. So if you are authorized to access an application, then you can able to access. Okay, authorization will check, are you allowed to access a particular thing as a file or maybe a storage or maybe a setting like that. It will check, do you have an authorization or not. Your account has a authorization to access, then it will allow you to access. If you are not authorized, then it will not allow you to access. Okay. Authentication and authorization by this local system only. Guys, understand this? Your individual computers, your systems. The next one is, for example, you have this type of individual computers in your network. For example, you take an office or maybe it is a internet center. Okay. So you maybe nowadays internet centers are very less. Okay. Okay. Not many computers at least. Okay. But point is, you have a in organizations, offices. So you have a computers. Maybe there is a 10 computers connected in the network. Each computer is a has an accounts, local accounts only. So in the local accounts, already I told one is an admin account, another one is standard account. So what I done, so I created some admin accounts into all this system. For a user purpose, I created a user account like this. In the first system, I created a Anusha account, and another system I created Akhil. So Akhil can able to log into this system. Spelling mistake. Just our understanding only. Akhil. So there is a Basha. Okay. So we'll get a names from here only to Anuj. And Vipin. Okay. So these are the users of this system. Like this is system A, B, C, D, E. Okay. So Anusha log into the system A. Okay, because in system A, Anusha account is there. So Anusha can able to log in Anusha and pass in. And in B system, Akhil is log into B system. So I created a Basha account in the C system. Tanush is you can able to log into D system. We can log into A system. Okay. But every system there is a local. These are all accounts are local accounts. Okay. And there is a some admin account also there to manage internal settings and all. So these people log into the system and log into the system. Okay. And they will do their work. So there is a 10 systems. So 10 users I created. Okay. That is now it's an individual system. So that we call it as a work group. That is what we call it as a work group system. Go to search about your PC. Good. So try about your PC in your system. Okay. This is about your PC. So you can see what is the RAM capacity, processor, graphic card, as well as storage. And also you can find about your operating system. So here I installed Windows 10 Pro Edition. Okay. So, so there is some frequently questions. Yeah. So can you see what is my computer name? This is the computer name and RAM and other information. Okay, so where I'm going to see, you can try rename this PC advanced, or you can try advanced system settings or anything in this site. Okay, rename this PC advanced or advanced system settings. If in case rename this PC advanced not showing, go to advanced system settings. Okay, because your system may be home editions. In a home editions, this advanced option won't be shown. So go to the any advanced setting, system settings or system protection. Okay. So there is a window will open. So click on this computer name. Click on the computer name. You can see work group. So your system is already in a work group system. This. And if I click on change, if I click on the change, see what is your computer name and you are a member of work group and work group name is work group only. So currently you are a member of work group name is work group only. Okay, we'll come back to this and we'll come to our system, my system. I want to show my system. Okay, go to the system. My physical system also become slow. So in your system, in Windows 11 also, same kind of stuff. Type about your PC. Okay. Here also you can see your system configuration details. I am using Windows 11 Pro. Okay. So I'm using like either advanced system settings or system protection. Click there. Why my system, my physical machine is also become slower? Huh? Maybe because of any updates. Hmm. So in this window again, click on the computer name tab. See, it's not showing work group, it is showing domain and it's showing a domain name because this system, my physical system is belongs to domain. Which domain? Savantis domain. I click on the change. See, I'm a member of domain. Okay, I'm a member of domain. Which domain? Savantis.com. See the difference? Guys, your system is work group. Your systems are in a work group. Work group systems. Means there are individual computers. They are not belongs to any domain. My system is belongs to a domain. We'll see what is the domain and all, but first understand the work group and what are the plus and minuses of work group. This work group PCs are individual computers. Okay. So they have their own local accounts. Every system has their own local accounts. Users log into their account and access the system. That's okay. And here it is. For example, first system is not working. Anusha came to office and then see the A system is not working. Now B system is available. Right now B system is available. Akhil is not came. So then Anusha want to log into this B system. Okay. She like but cannot log in. Why can't log in? Because Anusha account is not in the B system. If in case, if I'm an administrator, I'm a IT administrator, system administrator. Okay. So what I do, I have a 10 systems. In each system, I created all other accounts also, not only Anusha, Akil, Vasha, okay, Vipin, Radhika, so like that. I created a multiple accounts in it. It is lot of headache. If it is a 10 system, so 1 to 10 accounts I can create it. But if I have 100 systems, can I create 100 accounts in one system? It's not a good thing, right? One. So point number one is, here it is. Okay. So issues. So one system account cannot log into other system. Why? Because B system don't know Anusha account. So like that, other system don't know the user information and passwords. So you can't log into other systems in the workgroup. And there is no centralized controlling. And it is a no centralized control here. Okay. No centralized control. Next. Yeah, as I said, so if I have 100 systems are there. Think like there is a big organization, small, a medium to big organization. 100 computers are there. 100 systems are there. And I have 300 employees. Each account, each system having 3 accounts. If once one of the system is down, what about these 3 accounts? Where they can log in? Okay. So shift wise, 300 means 3 shifts. People are working. One person log in, shift completed, log out, other person come and log in with their accounts. In one system, multiple accounts are created. 3 accounts are created, right? 3 people are working in same system. But what happens if in case a system is down, where they can log in? Okay. Or maybe if any system is available, if they want to log into that other system, that need their login account, right? So this is a big challenge, one of the challenges. Second important, another challenge is, guys, have a 10 computers. Each computer, I want to do certain settings. I'm an admin, so I want to change certain settings in each system. Maybe it is related to a firewall setting, or maybe some network related setting, or service related setting, or desktop related setting. Okay, so I want to change the desktop background like this. Okay, so certain setting I want to do it in a each system. I have a 10 systems. Each system I have to go individually, and I want to change the settings. Can I change it? Yes. First of all, I have to log into each system with their admin account. Each system having an administrator account, right? So I have to log into A system with A system admin account, local admin account. Then I have to change the settings. Then go to B system, log in and change settings. C system, like that. All 10 systems, one by one, I log in and change the system. Because if there is a 10 systems, I can log into each system and change the settings. Think like you have 100 systems. Can you go to each and every system, 100 systems, each and every system, log in with their local admin account and doing the change of settings? It's very difficult because standard accounts cannot able to change it, and we don't ask the user to change the setting also. Okay. So we don't give the rights to change the settings. So we have to log in as admin, then we have to do the settings. It is big challenge, right? 100 systems, 200 systems, 500 systems, because organizations are small to big, medium to large. So big organizations having large number of systems, either it can be laptop or desktop. Okay. So there is no centralized administration. So we are manage each system individually in the work group model. So we'll see what is the work group model. It is work group. Individual systems are connected in the network. Each system has their own administrator account and user accounts. Okay, so it is decentralized administration, means we can control or manage individually, not centrally, because now centralized controller is there. Okay, the users, each individual system having their user, okay, and password is there in their system only. So they can log into their system. Authentication and authorization by that system only. Okay. So one PC's users cannot log into other user. User one cannot log into C2 or C3 or C4 because C2 or C3 don't know about user one information. Okay. More number of devices increases. More number of devices increases. It's very difficult to manage. Yes, you have an organization, it's a small organization. You have a 10 systems, 20 systems, 30 systems. Work group model is okay to run because you can able to manage if there's number of devices, we can manage, no problem, not big deal. If more number of devices is very difficult to manage. If you want to do any changes or settings in an individual system, if less number, no problem. But more number of systems, like 100 systems, 200 systems, it's very, very difficult to do the settings. Then it comes with a domain model. So this is a workgroup model. Next is domain model. In this domain model, we have a domain controller. In domain model, we have a separate server is there that is called a domain controller. So domain controller is a centralized controller. Domain controller is a server. Okay. So what we have? We have a domain controller. And there is a systems. So this is a DC. DC means domain controller. Domain controller is nothing but a server. A server. It's a centralized controller. Okay. Centralized controller, centralized administration we can do. Centralized administration we can able to. Of course, all are connected in the network. What is this content of this domain controller? Domain controller contains a database. Okay, domain controller contains database. Whose database? In a domain controller, you have a user, computer, okay, resources, database. Users database, computers database, and resource database. Okay. So here in this, what I do in this model, in domain model, we have a domain controller. This is centralized server, okay, which contains a database of users. These users are domain users. Okay. So for example, I have a user like a user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4, user 5, user 6, user 7, like that. I added multiple users on this. Okay. So add a users in this term, not in the individual systems. Add a users here. Next. And I have a computers. For example, I have a computer like a C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, Okay. So what is here it is, you have to go to each system. Okay. So earlier it is in a work group. Then we have to make the system as a member of domain. So your domain having a name. For example, your domain name is Pontoso.com. Like a google.com, facebook.com, youtube.com is there. Na? So it is a domain name. Okay. So just a name. So domain has a, okay, so domain name. So here in my work group system, so I have to type like this. I go to change member of domain and domain name. Click OK. Then it will send request to the domain controller. Then it asks for authentication. You want to join into the domain, then it will ask for the authentication. So you have to give domain controller administrator and password. So once I give an admin name and password, I am become a member of domain. So I added to this domain. Okay. So I added to this domain C1 system, C2, C3, C4, C5 systems are added to the domain. So I have a C1 to C6 systems are in network, but I added C1, C2, C3, C4, C5 systems into the domain. So my system information is in the now database. In the directory means domain controller database contains the domain computers information. Those are joined into the domain there. Okay, those computers are joining to the domain. That computer information is showing in the database. So users and computers. Okay. Next. In case if I have a printer, for example, have some printer name is P1, and it is also part of domain. I join this printer to a domain. So then it is the printer information is also added here. Resources information in the database. So in our domain controller contains a database. Database contains users, domain users, computers, resources, and service information is there. Okay. It's very new to you guys. So that's why I'm telling slowly. Okay. If you don't get it also, I can explain it again. Don't worry. Okay. So there is still points are there. So we'll continue that points. Once again, we'll back once. Domain means there is a centralized administration. In domain model, there is a centralized administrator. So there is a centralized controller is there. What is that centralized controller is? Our domain controller, which is a server. Domain administrator. So this domain having a administrator. That administrator is an admin for all the systems in the domain. Those who are in the domain is controlled by that domain administrator only. Okay. Your domain users, the users, groups, computers, resources, services, information stores in the domain controller, where in the database. Okay. These domain users can log into any of the domain computers. For example, I didn't create user 1 in C1, but I can log in to your C1. In the C1, I can log in with the user 1 account, but I didn't create it. But I can log in because C1 is a part of our domain. Okay. So when I try to log in with user 1 in the C1 system, what happened? A request is sent to the domain controller because C1 don't know who is user 1. So then request sent to the domain controller and verify is user 1 is correct or not. User 1 name, password, okay, is allowed to access C1 or not, like that. It means authentication and authorization by domain controller again. So domain controller will do two things. It has a database, contains users, groups, computers, resources, information. Also, whenever these users are logging to a domain computers or accessing any domain resources, who is going to authenticate and authorize? Domain controller. Authenticate and authorize the users. So domain users can log into any of the domain computers. So user 1 log into C1, user 2 log into C2, user 3 log into C3, user 4, user 5 log into C. So in the next shift, maybe C1 is not working. In the next day, C1 is not working. And C2 is available right now. Okay, C2 is available. So user 1 want to log into C2? Yes, he can log in because domain users can log into any of the domain computers by default. By default means by default only. Until unless you put a restriction. This user cannot log into these systems or this user can log into only this system. If you put that restriction, then only it will apply. By default, the user can log into any of the domain computers. Okay. So earlier today, yesterday in a C1, user 1 is logging. Now the C1 is not working, or maybe user 1 want to log into C2 system. Okay, so then he can log in. Okay, but only one user can log in at a time. So that's the point. And next shift means morning shift completed, evening shift join. Other users can log in, same system. No need to create an account inside. So different users can also log into same system. Okay, so that is our done. Yeah, this is now one example, that is user 6 is trying to log into C6. The question is user 6 can log into C6 system or not? User 6 can log into C6 system or not? Anyone? Anyone can give any answer? Okay, so maybe it's not connecting voice. No, he cannot log in. Okay, user 6 cannot log into C6. Why? Because C6 is not part of our domain. See, if system is part of domain, their names are in the database. C6 is not in the database. So domain users can log into domain computers, not in our domain computers, not in any other domain, not in any other workgroup system also. So domain computer and domain user both are should be in the same domain. Okay. So C6 is not part of our domain. It is outside of our, even though it is in the same network, but not in the domain, Okay. So that's why even though systems are in the same network, but not in the domain. That's why what is meant by domain? What is meant by domain? It is a logical administrative boundary of users and computers, of course, resources, services also. Okay, logical administrative boundary. Domain is logical administrative boundary. Domain name is a logical name. So name of a domain meaning is you are belongs to that domain. So just a namespace on. Okay. The resources like a users, computers, resources, or belongs to this domain. So that domain need a name. So that's why we are putting a domain name. Like contest.com is a domain name. Okay. So domain means those who are belongs to consto.com. So that is under single boundary. Those not in the domain, we can't authenticate, authorize the access. Okay. In work group, also we discuss, if you want to do any settings, you have to go to each and every system, log in with that system's local administrator account, and you have to do settings. But this domain controller in the users, where there is a domain admin account is also there. So there is a domain administrator group is also there. There is a domain admin. So it's a group. Those who are member of this domain admin group is an administrator of this domain. You can log into each system with this domain admin account. You can log in with this domain admin account with any system and do the settings. But again, if there is a 100 systems are there, 200 systems are there, can you log into all the system with domain admin account and do changes? Again, very difficult. So what is this? So there is a concept called group policy concept. Group policies. In our domain controller, we created a group policy, a GPO group policy. In this group policy, we mention a settings, what settings you want to apply for this system. The settings maybe belongs to network related settings, firewall related settings, application related settings, or maybe user login related settings, desktop related settings, okay, access related, like a printer related settings. The settings can be related to anything. It can be restrictions or allow access kind of stuff. So you mention what settings you want to do it on the systems based on user base or system computer base, user wise or computer wise, what settings you want to do it. That settings will mention in this group policy. Then we link the policy. So then the what are the settings in the group policy is applied to the all the users and computers in the domain. All the policies contents. Okay. So what is this group policy means? Enforcing various types of settings. Enforcing various types of settings to large number of users and computers. Okay. So what we are using is we are using group policy. So we are using a group policy for enforcing various types of settings. Networking settings or hardware related settings, networking related settings, security related settings, application related settings, okay, login, logout related settings, desktop related settings, access of resources related settings, okay, accessing of printer related settings, okay. We can do the settings simply by configuring the setting in a group policy and apply that group policy. The large number of users and computers will get that settings. No need to go to each and every system to do the settings. So that's it is centralized administration, centralized control. You do one part in the system, it applicable for entire your domain. That's why it is centralized, centralized controller, centralization. Okay. So this is about your domain model. Okay. So we'll see once more statement, guys, about a domain, centralized administration. There is a centralized controller called domain controller, which is a server. Domain administrator is an admin for all the systems in the domain. So you can log in with this domain administrator account to any systems as a domain admin login. Okay. So we can enforce various type of settings to large number of users and computers in the domain using group policies. Users information, computers, resources, services, groups information stored in a centralized system or a server, which is our domain controller. Inside a domain controller, there is a database. Inside this database, the information is there. Users, you created a user in the domain controller in the server, that is called domain user. The computers you join into the domain, that is a domain computers. So this domain user can log into any domain computer by default. Whenever you log into the domain computer, whenever a domain user log into domain computer, but who is going to authenticate that user and authorize the user? Is a domain controller, authenticate and authorize the user. So I given one example of Workgroup and domain. It is, so Amit is a PCA, so Amit can log into PCA. Like that, so I given some. Okay. So user information, username, password stores in the domain controller. In the domain, user information stores in a domain controller. Computers join into the domain is called domain computers. Users in the domain called domain users. Domain user can log into any into their any domain computers. That's what I said. Domain admin account is administrator for all devices in the domain. So domain user log into domain computer, domain controller authenticate that user. So domain is means a logical administrative boundary of users and computers. Domain means a logical administrative boundary of users and computers. So this is about your domain. Logical administrative boundary. See it is. So this domain related authentication, group policy settings, user access, only applicable within that domain related users and group systems only, computers, resources, servers related on, not outside. Means maybe the system is in same network, but domain related things won't applied. Group policy not applied on a C6 system. Domain user cannot log into C6 system because it's not in our domain. That's it is called as logical administrative boundary of users and computers. So guys, when you type domain in the in the Google, it generates some kind of different kind of answers because domain is also a common English name. Domain. So I belongs to this domain. For example, I belongs to networking domain. I belongs to software domain. I belongs to that soft skills domain. Okay. Domain means it is like an area or maybe a group. So when you type domain, also it will show this kind of answer. That is generally URLs are having this domain names, right? www.google.com. They said google.com is a domain. Okay, URLs wise it will shows like a w3schools.com slash AWS index learning.php. That's it is, it shows like this is the domain name. Again, there is a confusion, the URL and the domain name. Yes, this is Active Directory domain name. When you want to get this information from Google, what you type AD domain or Active Directory domain means what? Then only you will get this answer. Otherwise, different answer it will show. So that's why I put a AD domain. Because in the domain where we are discussing in the Active Directory environment, domain controller that way. So that's the definition here. But whenever you go to domain in different areas, different type of answers you will get it. And some people will ask this question, very rarely it asks, what's the difference between URL and domain name? Yeah, there's small differences. URL is context of location of the particular file. Universal resource location. Okay, location. Where is this file location? Inside this particular server, www google.com, www.w3schools.com, www.youtube.com, www.facebook.com. So this google.com, facebook.com are domain names. Under this domain, there is several servers. www, okay, DOCS, Meet, okay, like different servers are there. Drive, different servers are there, different services are there. Okay, mail.google.com, it's your Gmail, mail related servers are there. So that is their individual server. So in this google.com, these are all systems are there. So google.com is a domain name. Domain name is different domain. Okay. So in that domain name, there is a several server systems. And each system has an IP address, of course. Okay. So that's grouping. URL means it's a web connectivity, HTTP. So this domain is again this is a group. These systems are belongs to this particular domain. In the boundary within that there is authentication, authorization, and accessing a resource connectivities, settings like that. Don't go much more because we go with the next. So guys, understand the concept of workgroup and domain. Okay. So difference between workgroup and domain is the most common question, guys. And nowadays they are asking or not, I don't know, because some people are getting questions, some people are not getting. But still it is important when you are attending any kind of technical interview, it's the most common question. What's the difference between workgroup and domain? Workgroup is a decentralized administration, domain is a centralized administration. Workgroup, there is no centralized control. In domain, we have a centralized controller called a domain controller. In workgroup, we are having individual systems connected in the network, and these individual system has their own user accounts. They are having their own user accounts. Okay, in a domain, so we have a systems. Okay, we have a computers in the domain. There are belongs to our domain, and we have a domain controller where all user accounts are stored, where we have created and stored user accounts and user authentication information in the domain controller only. Okay, domain joining computers. So these domain users can log into any of the domain computers because domain is a logical administrative boundary of these users and computers. Okay, in workgroup, one system user cannot log into another system, and again in a workgroup, system users who is authenticated. Whenever the user is log into a system, that system authenticate that user. But in a domain, the domain user log into domain computer, domain controller authenticate that user because domain controller contains user information, authentication, username, password information. So it is domain controller authenticate and authorize the users. Domain controller, here it is again. Domain users can log into any of the domain computer. So means not only one system can also log into any other system also. Not parallelly. So he has to log into one system, then log into another system. But in workgroup, we can't do. In workgroup, the more number of devices we can manage individually, not centrally. More number of devices increases, managing this become difficult. So you want to change any settings into the workgroup systems, you have to go to each individual system and change this. But in a domain, so we are using a group policy. So we mentioned a group policy in a, we mentioned the settings in the group policies. We apply the group policies so we can enforce the settings to large number of users and computers. So these are the difference between workgroup and domain. Okay, guys, understand up to here.
Yes, sir.
Very good. So this is a symbolic representation of domain. Triangle is symbolic representation of domain, and this is representation of domain controller. Okay, so this is our domain controller, and this is our domain. For example, this is domain 1 or domain A, you can say domain A. Okay. For an organization, so we don't use it for a home purpose, right? Home purpose, small organizations, we don't use. But in an enterprise level, the organizations, we use domain. This domain concept actually came from this Windows NT server onwards. Okay. This domain concept is there from Windows NT onwards. Okay. So there is a domain controller, PDC, BDC. So first domain controller is called a PDC, primary domain controller. In case of this primary domain controller fails, what to do? So authentication is not working, right? Then what they use? So they use additional domain controller called a BDC, backup domain controller. Primary domain controller, backup domain controller concept is there. Next. For example, this is an organization. I'm taking Tata as an organization. This is a Tata domain. Okay. This is a Tata domain. So Tata employees, their username names, passwords, computers located in the domain controllers, both primary and backup domain controllers. Whenever the users log into their computers, domain controller authenticate. Where is this domain users and computers information located? In domain controller in their database. The database is called here SAM database. SAM database. The database name is SAM database. And whenever user is login, who is going to authenticate? Domain controller. What is that authentication protocol? Is NTLM authentication. Network LAN Manager authentication. Okay. In a Windows NT server, this is a domain, right? So like this, another organization is created in the same enterprise. Okay. So what happened? Another organization means another domain. And that organization employs users account, passwords, and their groups and their computers information is in domain controller. For example, this is a Tata Steel, another organization. Okay, and so Tata is, so multiple organizations are created from Tata. So we know one more, like this is a TCS. This is TCS domain and their primary domain controller. And of course, there is a backup domain controller also there. I'm not writing, just to writing easy and faster. So we have a different points of like a TCS, Tata Steel, Tata Motors. Okay, Tata Motors domain. So different organizations, different domains. Here we'll see one example here. This Tata employee, there is a Tata employee want to access resources in the Tata Steel.com. So they need some kind of account information. So this Tata employee want to access Tata Steel resources, their storage or maybe system or server they want to access. Both are different domains. One domain cannot authenticate, other domain, right? Cannot provide access, right? So what they will do it, they create a trust relationship between these domains. They create a trust relationship between this Tata domain to Tata Steel domain. Similarly, depends upon the requirements. We create a trust relationship between the domains. Depends upon the requirement. Okay. So Tata Motors needs steel. So that's again this relation. Whenever is required, a trust relationship is created to access their resources or authentication, access kind of stuff, kind of communication and okay. So what happened here by creating these many trust relationship, it gives lot of confusion. Sometimes unauthorized access also will happen. Sometimes not able to access also. It's become very complex in earlier in a Windows NT time. Then in a 2000, in Windows 2000, they introduced AD concept. AD concept. This AD is simplify everything. So it's simple. They created a forest structure. So this is called a forest. Forest means simple enterprise. Enterprise architecture is introduced. Instead of organizational level, so they put a one forest. Anyway, this forest is actually created by creating very root level domain. So first root domain is created. Okay. So this is a DC or PDC, and this is a Tata, which is actually a root domain is created. This is our root domain. By creating a root domain, forest is created. This is Tata.com. So it is hierarchical structure. Tata.com like that it is created. Tata. Okay. So in this one, organizations also created. Okay. Okay. So for example, this is TataSteel.com. Another organization created in a same forest. TataSteel.com, TCS.com, TataMotors.com. Okay. So these are all under this root domain only. So this is a root domain. So when I create a root domain, a forest is created. And the other organizations are, while we are creating other organization domains, what we have done, so we created under same forest only. So what happened? There is a trust relationship automatically. All domains in the forest trust each other. And it creates a security boundary. It does not allow any other outside users or other domains to connect inside a forest. So within the forest, each domain is communicate each other. Within the forest, users are communicate. Within the forest, domains are trusted each other. They can access the resources of other domains. Okay. So it is a big architecture is like that. So these organizations, we call it as tree domains. The first one is root, remaining are tree domains. Like in a forest, we have a trees, like these are called a tree domains. And there is a child domains also there. The child domains comes with a parent name. For example, this is hyd.tatasteel.com. Parent domain also there. So this is called a child domain. Okay, child domains. So, but all these domains in the same forest, they trust each other. They provide security boundary. Okay. So within the, so this is structure of Active Directory. This Active Directory introduced in Windows Server 2000. It is also there in the 2003. In 2003 and 2000 server, the service name is Active Directory. And this is the Active Directory architecture. Okay. So this is the structure. In 2000, it is a Microsoft service. This Active Directory is a Microsoft service introduced in Windows 2000. And this is AD, Active Directory. And there later, this Active Directory name is changed to ADDS. Same Active Directory in 2008 server. In 2008 server till now, still now we are using ADDS. Okay, name changed to Active Directory Domain Services. There is a reason, because in this forest, not only Active Directory, not only this domain services related, but also there is lot of services are introduced. Certification services, right management services, okay, federation services, okay, lightweight directory access services like a Active Directory Federation Service, ADFS, ADCA, ADCS, sorry, okay, ADRMS, ADLDS, ADDS. These are the 5 services are introduced. So this Active Directory become ADDS. There is no difference between Active Directory and Active Directory Domain Services. Only the Windows version name is different. Okay, service wise all are same only. So this Active Directory architecture contains forest, tree, child domains kind of stuff. All domains in the forest trust each other. Then what is the Active Directory? So we have discussed about a domain controller. We discussed about this domain controller, right? So how this is become a domain controller? In from already said, no, 2000 and 2003, it's AD. In 2008 onwards, it is ADDS. So we take a Windows server. In the server, we install Active Directory or Active Directory Domain Services, depends upon the version, and configure it as a domain controller. Configure it as a domain controller. So domain controller is a server. Domain is a logical administrative boundary. Active Directory is a service, a role or a service, which is we are installed into a server, Windows server. Then it is become domain controller. So this Active Directory provide 2 services. One is database service, means which stores users, groups, computers, resources, information. And another service is authentication and authorization services. Whenever user or a computer log into the network, or we can say whenever domain user log into a domain computer, who is going to authenticate? Domain controller. In domain controller, which service? Active Directory services. So Active Directory having is a directory service providing 2 services: database service, Active Directory database service, and authentication services. In NT, it is SAM database, NTLM authentication services in NT server. But here it is Active Directory directly, Active Directory database services, authentication. Authentication means Kerberos related authentication, KDC authentication services. Okay. So Active Directory database stores identity of users, groups, computers, services, resource information. Authentication services, users, groups, computers, resources. Okay. Whenever user log into the domain, to the Active Directory authenticate. I said Active Directory database, right? Database means it's a file. Active Directory database which contains information. Where the information stores? In a database file. What is the file name? ntds.dit. Active Directory file name is ntds.dit. Next step. Active Directory also authenticate users. So what are the authentication related protocols are? Kerberos and LDAP authentication protocols. Okay. So this is about your authentication. What is Active Directory? Active Directory is provide. It's a Microsoft service. What is Active Directory? Active Directory is a Microsoft service introduced in Windows Server 2000. Active Directory provide directory services, Active Directory database, and Active Directory authentication and authorization services. Active Directory database contains users, groups, computers, resources, which belongs to that domain. Okay, and Active Directory authenticates users when they log into the domain computers. Okay, and authorize the users means it allows users to access resources. Active Directory database name is ntds.dit. Active Directory authentication protocols are Kerberos and LDAP protocol. Active Directory name is become ADDS in 2000 server onwards. Active Directory architecture is forest tree child domain architecture. Lot of names, lot of things about Active Directory is there, guys. I'm not going to that much. Okay, just I will stop here. Okay, understand, guys, what to tell, what is Active Directory part. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So take a break. So when we will be